welcome to another episode here at Nevada Partners on the Westside Community Incubators. I am Seclenda Anthony, your favorite and realist life coach, organizer, and business strategist. Join us every Tuesday at 11 if you have not already, where we are unlocking personal and business development to our passion, your purpose to profit. And we are always unlocking real, true stories that have got us through this journey. And it starts from our background, going to our passion, and driving us to profit. Everybody's trying to get in their bag, and this is the time to learn something every time. We are on part 2, and we are back with Miss Nayana Clark, the Freedom Doctor. Okay, let's get that corrected. Go ahead and tell the people.
Yes, I am Nayana Clark, the Freedom Doctor, and I free minds, pockets, and people.
And we had our first episode last week. If you didn't catch it last Tuesday, and we were really just scraping the surface. There was just so many layers and layers of this topic. We were talking about incarceration, the freedom of them wrongfully accused, childhood, the family, how we can make things better, tips, and just all kinds of resources and things like that. So here we are again. So let's go into, I want to take the people back. So even though your followers know you, we want to get everybody to know you on this platform. What was your childhood like that led you into what you're doing today?
I would have to say I was a rebel. I was definitely the black sheep of the family. I was the child that kept my parents definitely on their toes.
On the toes, busy.
So I was the one that was destined for this. And I believe my childhood and the good foundation that I had set me up for that.
Right.
So
it most definitely takes strength.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And determination.
And determination. So you were the rebel. I get that. And I think that's where we can connect with that, because when rebel meaning, you stepped on the streets in a different path than most people. So you've seen different things, you experienced different things that led you to what you do now.
Yes.
And my childhood also is neck and neck with that. So how did your family feel about you doing what you're doing now, helping the people?
Well, because it started with my children's father, it was, of course, you want your children to do the best in life. And if you see your child with somebody that is not doing what you feel is the best, you're going to discourage.
Right.
But also you have to understand, when you as a parent are discouraging your child, it's really encouraging them to go against that discouragement.
Go against the grain.
So they weren't really, my parents always knew, so I'm not going to take anything away from my foundation. My parents always knew I was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
They told me that all the time. My father used to always tell me a mind was a terrible thing to waste.
Yes.
So.
And that TV.
Yeah.
That's what my grandma used to tell me.
Yeah. So they knew I was smart. So I'm sure they figured somewhere underneath all of this, some greatness would come. So they're very supportive of what I do. And then because this actually happened to their grandson, and they saw their grandson go through this terrible, unjust, unfair, just terrible system.
Yeah.
And they saw it up close and personal. I think it also made them kind of change a little bit of their viewpoints, that everybody that is in the system is not bad. Everybody that gets caught up in this is not as culpable as they try to make you out to be. So it showed my parents
a different perspective,
a different side of things too.
Right.
So
I can most definitely identify with that. For the women who are incarcerated, which is what we kind of want to touch on this today.
Yes.
Being a woman or being a young girl a teenager at that time, running the streets as well, that molded me and shaped me to do the things that I did then, and to what led me to do the things that I do now. Mm-hmm. But that was another aha moment that I had, even though I was around a lot of gang affiliated, a lot of drugs, a lot of just everything that you can name on the streets. I knew that I was destined for more. No matter what, something the bank is like, girl, you know you got too much smart for you, which we call it street smart. And then now it's like, how can you transfer the street smart to office? So we want to go back and say the women who also have that mentality that, hey, I know I'm better than this. And then sometimes they get caught up with, situations, relationships that ended them, or personal that end them back into jail. So we want to help them change their perspective. So the women that you meet, what are normally their childhood stories that they have?
So some of the women that I have met have had good childhood.
Mm,
They have had mothers and fathers. And it kind of touches back on what you say. Sometimes the good girls go to the different side and they explore and they see what's on the other side, because I already know what's over here.
right.
But if I go over here and I see the exciting and the fast money and the fast life, if you've lived a different lifestyle, you're going to cross over.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is, we come from good foundations. So that kind of already puts the difference between us and someone that comes from that neighborhood.
Yeah.
We have the good foundation. We may have the stable home, but we have the best of both worlds. We go to school, we do the right thing, quote unquote, but we also know how to maneuver through the streets.
Right.
So, like you said, transferring those skills. But I see a lot of women come from decent households, and just how
Caught
quickly
up in
and
the wrong.
easy it is to get caught up in one thing or being with someone
Right.
and getting caught up in something. So
Instantly can change your life.
in a second,
Yeah.
in a second.
I always love to reach back to the young teens also. What advice, I know the advice I can give young girls, but what advice, just from your point of view, that you would give young girls who are in school or running on the bad side, like, hey, let's not.
It's kind of hard to say that, because you could tell somebody all that you want that's good, and they have to experience it for themselves. Because my mother told me a lot of things, and I still did a lot of things.
Right.
One thing I would tell for a young girl is, and this might sound a little off, but don't just fall in love with the first person you
I
meet.
agree. Mm-hmm.
Date them all. And I say date them all. You don't have to do,
You're right.
something with all of them, but date them all, because the first person is not always the best person,
Yeah.
you know?
Experience.
And then always remember where you come from. Never try to act like you are something that you're not,
Yeah.
because people respect the authenticity. And a lot of people from the streets, they respect us, that we come from good stability, good households, mothers and fathers. They
Yeah.
actually respect that.
Well, they wish they had that.
Yeah.
I remember going to school, especially raising three girls right now. I'm trying to keep them on track from what I've experienced, what my mother experienced, what our whole generation passed down experience is just things that I don't want them to see, but things that, they've already experienced. And it is a catch-22 to try to tell somebody what they should and shouldn't do. Because I was, laced up with game all the time too. And I still went and got the experience myself. So it is something that's hard. I think just keeping them focused. Sports, I wish, like, if I was thought about me, I wish I was, more into sports, more of something that I had to do. I had just my great grandmother raising me. So I was kind of like free to do whatever I wanted to do. She kept the food, she kept the roof. So you have your stability, but then you
Right.
have this over here
Your
that's just
freedom.
kind of like, hey, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so try to start from the bottom as it build to the top, because we all end up from young girls to a woman that end up in these situations that we're trying to prevent from them, and then now we're trying to get them out.
And really getting with these young ladies when they are young, because just like you said, a lot of young women from these areas, the underserved communities, they don't have good role models.
At all.
You know what I'm saying? Their mothers, their aunties, their grandmas, everybody is negative, or not what they want
Yeah.
them to be, you know? So you don't have anything within your own household to see that's good.
Yeah.
So then you venture off, and that's why some people, and whether it's a good household or bad household, people like to venture off. But
Mm-hmm.
more so when you don't have what you need in that house, you go looking for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't,
Yeah.
you know.
I know we had touched on absent fathers just a little bit. And speaking from also the female perspective, looking for love when you're missing your father and you connect with these boys, and then
Mhm.
you're looking for love in all these wrong areas. And then, you just wanting this certain type of attention that still pulls you in the wrong direction. What I try to tell my girls, um, is to first love yourself. No one's going to love you more than you love yourself. Well, let's start with
Definitely.
that. And then I didn't know anything about words of affirmation. So I got to teach them what words of affirmation means. There's so many different things that I didn't know that I try to tell them now, to just love themselves so they won't have to go out and love them. And then one thing that also was missing from my family was we didn't say I love you. We didn't hug each other. We didn't do any of those things. It was, we knew, but it was an unspoken word. So that's what I try to do with them now. Hug each other, because there's three.
Yes.
Hug your sisters, love your sisters. We love on each other. We say I love you. And I can see the
Different. Oh,
it's difficult for them.
really?
And it was difficult for me.
Mm.
So I know a lot of women that I meet that are incarcerated are missing that love that they were also looking for.
And I was going to say the difference that it made, but that's something we always grew up on. Even being older, you know, I get off the phone with my mother, love you. You know what I'm saying? We see my parents, we hug them, we kiss them.
And they're still together, you said, right?
Mhm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Right.
So even my boys, when they see my father, my mother, it's so affectionate. When
Mm-hmm.
I see my boys, and I don't say boys because they're actually grown men, 27 and 22. But when I see them, I hug them, I kiss on them, I love
Yeah.
on them. They tell me they love me. So I think that some things are passed down that are good, and some things have to be unlearned and then, like we talked about,
Right.
relearned,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Because
So
my father's side showed a different side. If I didn't have those visits with my father's side, I seen a different. My grandpa and my grandmother were still alive and they were still together with all those
mhm,
children. So I was able to kind of get pieces of everything and kind of put them together
mhm,
wherever they belong. I had to
right,
put, and that's the thing, and that's life. You have this puzzle and it's like dumping it out on the table and it's like, put that
trying to put
together.
it together.
And you're trying to find all these little pieces, and every piece has something on it, and you're trying to put it together. The hard part, and this is why you should always get a coach, is true when you don't know how to put that puzzle together.
Mhm,
You're trying to put these pieces together. Sometimes they don't fit, sometimes they do. Um, you help women put pieces of their life together with your business, right?
yes,
You want to talk about that?
yes. So I believe every woman should not only be independent, and this is a story my mother used to tell me a long time ago about being independent as a woman. She would say, you always have to have your own money. Even if you have a husband, even if you have a significant other, you always have your own money. So you can have your money together, but you have your money separate. Reason being is that if you ever need to leave this man, you can't wake this man up at night and ask him for money to leave. So that kind of, you know, did something to me. So I was
Mm-hmm.
always very, very independent, sometimes too independent. Um, but I would definitely teach the ladies independence,
Mm-hmm.
not having to need anybody or ever feel like you have to do something for something,
Right.
you know, because I don't like being nice just to get something that I could do myself. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to teach the ladies independence. Financial literacy. Every woman should be financially literate. They
Yeah.
should be able to know about the bank account because back in the day, the men took care of everything and the women stayed at home and took care of the children and the house and all that stuff. But they need to know how money works, how
Yeah.
money moves, how to pay bills, how to be self
Self-efficient.
sufficient.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Um, Credit. Every woman deserves good credit. Good credit
Yes.
looks like you, good credit looks like me. So every woman should have excellent credit. So they can leverage their credit for whatever endeavors, whether it's personal or business.
Right.
So those are the things that I'm really big on.
Yeah.
And mama may have, papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own. So
Right.
a woman just being able to take care of herself along with her children is a beautiful thing. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Gems. So really trying to put all the pieces together with some assistance, trying to do it on your own. When you don't have this type of knowledge and resources, I'm guilty of it too. I'm trying to put the pieces together, as I said, but you don't know the pieces that you need to put together. Get somebody who has done it already, been there, and can take you through. Of course, you want to mesh, and all those good things, but try to find somebody, of course, that you can trust, which is why we're here. And help that they're going to help you take you on your journey. You
yes.
have to find somebody who has done it already before you. You will be spinning your wheels for a very long time. I call it the hamster wheel, where you're just going and going and going and going and going.
The
You're wondering
circle
why
of
you're tired.
insanity.
Yeah,
Just doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
a different
And
result. And you already have your children or not. You're just burnt out. So save
yes,
yourself some time, get your coins together, and find out your passion, again, your purpose, and change it into your profit so you can be independent and not have to worry about anyone else and take care of your family.
definitely.
Um, as a woman, well, these are the certain things that keep us from actually making these big steps. One I know is confidence, self worthiness. At any point in time, as a woman, did you feel any of those things of lesser value or any stumbling blocks for you to build your business?
Definitely. Imposter syndrome. Um, there's a lot of things that when you put yourself on a pedestal and you hold yourself to higher standards, then you always strive for that, which is definitely not healthy, because done is better than perfect, because perfect never gets done.
Right.
So, yes, those are things that I try not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I know my challenge, one of my biggest challenges, and I know for a fact for the women that I met, um, and I talk about this pretty frequent, is being violated at a young age as a woman, from teenage, from childhood, and just feeling like you don't have a voice anymore. So it goes along with confidence again. It goes around with self-worthiness. You don't feel like you have that power within you. Your voice was taken away at one point in time, and you need that voice back. I always say gain the voice back, because you always had it. You just lost it on this journey. And how to get women to get this back, you need your voice. You have a voice, you gotta have your voice. At any point in time, did you feel like you didn't have a voice as a woman
Um,
through your journey, business or personal?
I'm sure, yes. Not because I was ever violated or anything to that manner, but definitely because of probably limitations and things I have put on myself, you know, and confidence and worthiness and um, lack of all of that. And having a strong team, like you said, having a
Yeah.
coach, having a strong team, a strong support system in anything, personal or business, is so important.
Yeah.
Because they can help you work through those things of
Yes.
feeling like
Yeah.
you're not worth it.
Yeah.
So,
Limited beliefs.
yes.
Absolutely. And we put that on ourselves, and you need someone to guide you to peel those layers back. I
Mhm.
love to take my clients and guide them through the 7 dimensions of purpose that I offer for them to help them peel back those layers. And I also took myself through this journey, so I know it's proven. And that's again from the street smarts to the book smarts, like what you have in your skills. And that's the thing, people. I also said this in a couple of episodes before. When you come from the streets or you learn that type of lingo, you feel like you can't go into a certain office and communicate with other people.
Mhm.
And these skills that the women need to learn is like, you can be you and
Absolutely.
still make money, or be you, or start that business. Don't let that um, throw you off your footing. Do you get a lot of women who feel like they're not worthy to start their own business?
Right. Sometimes I use big words, and some of the ladies are like, "Oh, you use such big words, right?" And that intimidates them. But then hanging around me long enough, then they start using those big words.
Mm-hmm.
So I think more it's just the fact that you haven't had anybody to pour into you
Yes.
and be able to show you another way.
Yes.
So I still always go for support, and yeah.
Yeah. Support is everything. Get with like-minded people. Get around women who build you up.
Yes.
Love on each other. Um, Everybody may not be starting at that level of confidence, but when you're around each other and you all have the same game plan, it's just automatic energy. You want that energy to uplift you. You want to change your circle.
Yes.
Who you've been with and rocking with is probably not the circle that you need to be with if that's where you're trying to get to. From A to Z, that middle ground needs to go. You have to replace it with something that you've never ever had before. And that was new to me too.
Right. And a lot of people, you don't have to speak eloquent to, get your point across or be
Right.
professional and all of that stuff. So a lot of people, like I said, I like authenticity. I like
Mm-hmm.
people that are real and raw. Don't try to come and be something that you're not. So
Yeah.
even if you're not used to being in a professional environment, if you know how to convey what you need, your needs and your wants, it'll all come together. You
Yeah.
can get worked with. People rather work with somebody with a good attitude that's willing to learn than somebody that has a bunch of experience with a terrible attitude.
Yeah.
So,
And the willing to learn
and the willing to learn.
is what you said. And that's the thing. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be a sponge and soak up the game,
Yes.
soak up the information so you can go ahead and, get on to your next level. Leveling up, elevate is everything. So if
It's a
you,
goal.
yeah, that's what we're all trying to get to.
Yes.
Mentally, spiritually,
Hmm. Physically,
financially,
yeah. Emotionally,
yeah, all
everything.
that.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Boundaries. A lot of women who are incarcerated or didn't know how to set boundaries. That's a big thing that I'm always geared upon is you got to set boundaries. Again,
Yes.
that's also changing your circle, changing your environment,
Yes.
um, and creating these boundaries. Did you ever have to do anything of boundary cutting when you're forming your business or getting ready to form your business?
So the ladies that I'm currently helping from the prison have been phenomenal, right? And I think because of their situation, because they're right now incarcerated, they understand boundaries. So when they call me, they're like, "Nah, are you busy?" And I'm thinking like, "Girl, I'm here for you." You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, so I think they're teaching me different boundaries. Like, just because we're locked up doesn't mean we take away from whatever you have going on. We still need to make sure you're available and able to assist us. So
So you're like a 24-hour hotline?
I am.
Well, that's like the bonds,
I
they're
am.
they're 24 hours.
I am because
But that's in your field.
hmm and
So
anything can happen. I mean,
it goes with you.
if you look
Hmm.
at the streets, everything what they say after midnight or after dark is when most
The
things
action.
happen, right?
Yeah.
So people call me and I make it my business if I can, to answer, but I also know about give and take. I
Hmm.
can't give and let people take and not be able to refill myself. So that is one thing
Exactly. So you have that
I've
boundary.
learned is to
Hmm.
be able to say no and
Yes.
no without feeling bad because I say no and then next minute I call it back. No, no, okay, I'll be able to. I can't do it this time, but not trying to accommodate everybody's emergency or
Yes.
situation. You know what I'm saying? And I think that kind of also shows you who is with you and who is not.
Yeah.
So
So you do have boundaries set.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you do. That's good.
I do.
But I most definitely get the 24-hour hotline type of vibe because that is true.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what other things can women do to build their credit up that you can help assist?
So after they get any negative items deleted from their credit, um, they would want to establish positive credit. And I tell people that credit is like a beautiful woman, a credit score is like a beautiful woman or a fine man, right? Everybody's so concerned with their credit score. And that means absolutely nothing because you can see somebody that is beautiful, right? But then when you start talking to them and you get into the insides, it's so ugly. They got an ugly soul, they got an ugly spirit, attitude, all of that.
I call that the lemon.
I understand that, right? So I tell people we don't want to just strive for a good credit score. We want to have a good profile. We want to have one name, one address, one employer. We want to show stability.
Yes.
If I see 10 or 15 different addresses on your credit report, I'm going to think you're not stable, that you move every chance you get. So why would I extend any credit to you and I may not be able to get in contact with you?
Right.
So just knowing about the profile, knowing about establishing positive credit, having different types of accounts, because you can have a credit card, a revolving type of credit. You can have a installment loan like your car payment.
Yeah.
You can have a mortgage. So different types of credit can get different types of things, of results. So
yeah,
just educating them on that.
What are 3 tips that someone who doesn't have any credit that can do easily by themselves?
3 simple things. So I would say if you pay rent, you can add your rent to your credit. So that's 2 years of payment history and 10 years of age, which if anyone knows about credit, that's phenomenal. So that's one. If you bank with a credit union that allows you to do a pledge loan, you can use your own money to set up a pledge loan and pay it back, and it looks like a positive trade line. You can add another trade line that you just pay for monthly, and it shows as you could do a $10,000, $20,000 trade line and pay a monthly amount, and it reports on your credit.
Nice.
So those are 3 easy things if you don't have good credit, or if you don't have positive credit, that you can do to add.
As a young teenage girl, because they're getting ready to get their first job, because I remember getting my job and I want to go spend my check and buy all the things and be cute. But now that I'm older, and if I was to think back, I did my thing, I enjoyed it. But if I was to go back and do, I'm like, there's some things that are just not necessary as an adult, I guess, but still a teen is looking at it. But that's also because I didn't have the knowledge of what I could have been doing with my money. So as a teenage girl, is there any advice you can give them? Maybe 3 things as well.
Save your money. Save your money for a rainy day. That's something my mother always still tells me. If you cannot pay, so I'm going to say this as a teenager. Okay?
Right.
If you cannot pay cash, then you cannot afford it. So if you're not able to go get that new laptop and pay $700-800, and you have to put it on your credit card, and it's not going to get paid for years, you don't need it.
What do you think about a teenager getting a job versus, I know households where parents are low on their funds, and the first thing you do is when you hit that permit stage, go and get a job. Do you recommend, or how not recommend, what is your thoughts about teenagers getting a job versus school?
So my thoughts were, I worked, I was able to take care of the household and my son. So y'all go to school, that's your job. Go to school and get your diploma. Now, as far as going to college, that's your own personal preference, but you were going to get your high school diploma, especially my oldest son, because I had him when I was pregnant at 16, had him at 17. So we were already statistics. So I made sure that we weren't statistics as far as I had my diploma, he was going to have his diploma. So the little one had to follow up with what we had already did.
So education first.
Education first. Neither one of my sons got a job until they were 18.
Wow. I was 15.
I was 14,
I went and got that job.
And I didn't have to. It's not like my parents made me, but I was always in so much trouble that I'd rather go to work and make some money than be on restriction in my house. So
Yeah.
I was just trying to be outside.
I think my
So,
independence started because my great grandmother was raising me, and my mom was incarcerated. And my father was, with his other family. I felt like I didn't want to be a burden to her. So I had a lemonade stand from the first time I knew I
wow.
can do anything, to a garage sale back when neighborhoods was you can sell something. I went around the house and gathered anything. Grandma, do you want this? Do you need that? Okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna sell it. So I had this entrepreneurship at an early age. I knew I wanted to make money, but I didn't want her supporting me. So the first time I knew I can go and get a job, I was hitting the ground running. As soon as I found out the street code, then I can figure that out.
Right.
So it opened up a door, but then it led me to a whole nother, because my environment was just half of this and half of that. So young girls, look for what they used to have, the big sister, big brother.
Yes.
Is that even still around?
I don't know, but it's needed.
Yes.
Young girls need to have good role models.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Or make it more than what, because if it's a small resource, I think that needs to be something bigger. I remember Dare. Do you remember Dare?
And they don't even do that.
But they need something more like that in these communities.
Yes.
If you are a big sister, big brother type of community person,
Yes.
I would say find that young person and reach out to them. Take them underneath your wings, because I'm sure they don't have anybody. Show them a little bit of the ropes. Of course, their mentality is different from right now, but eventually they can put those skills together and put the two and two together and be somebody than what they didn't have.
And in my case, like I said, my parents were amazing. Both of them were there. They both worked. They were wonderful. I was just a bad ASS, right? So, but I had a godmother, and my godmother stepped in and she did the same thing my parents did, just on a little bit less of a authoritarian level, right? So me and my godmother were like this. And I feel like every child needs a person like my godmother.
Yeah.
That can love on you, nurture you, but sometimes we take things different when it's not from our parents.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So she still taught me everything that my parents would have taught me, but it was just coming from her.
Exactly.
She was younger, she was more hip. So I listened to her a lot more. And she's the reason why I got my diploma, because I didn't care about my diploma. My parents already thought that I wasn't going to get my diploma because I was a high school mother. So they figured that I was going to drop out and become a statistic. But I lived with my godmother at the time. And she was like, God, baby, you are going to walk across the stage. And I'm like, I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
I just know I have my diploma, which everybody said I couldn't get. But walking across the stage wasn't even anything that I wanted to do.
Right.
But she is the one who went and got my cap and gown, ironed it up for me, and took me to my graduation. So
I love that.
everybody needs somebody like that.
Yes. That's so funny because I almost didn't walk the stage either. Being a teenager, doing my thing and not staying focused. I still have one of my GPA paperwork. I'm not even going to say what the number was, but I had to, when my senior year came, I was going through so much in my teenage years. When my senior year came, my grandma always told us, just get your diploma, because that's all they knew. My grandma was born in 1915. She was just like, just get your diploma, just walk the stage. If you can just do that. And none of the other children did it. So I busted my butt my senior year. I did everything that I could to make sure my grandmother seen me walk that stage. And I did. And I walked the stage. Get at least that. Get your diploma. I know college has changed. Kids are building businesses at the age of, they're getting on like YouTube, starting their business at 7 years old.
Yeah.
Get your education. At least get that. Walk with that, and then let the rest lead you in another way.
And just real quick, let me touch on that.
Go
There's
ahead.
a lot of things that people in life can take from you. Your mind, your education, your experience. That's something that no one, no matter how bad they break you down, they still can never take what you know.
Right.
So being able to have at least that foundation, I'm not an advocate of going to college. That's not what I'm going to tell somebody. And if my children were younger, I probably would have pulled them out of school at a whole, I probably wouldn't have preached, get a diploma, do all of that. But okay, bare minimum, get your diploma. But college and all of that, be all that you can be in whatever it is that you want to do. But it doesn't have to be what they call the American dream.
Yeah.
So
find your passion.
Yes.
I agree. I'm big on trade. So I think your trade will kind of counteract to passion. Find that trade, but that trade should be your passion. And when you start to get these experiences and these notches under your belt is what I call it, you'll end up, your purpose will automatically align with it. Guarantee. You can't, because it's your divine. That's where you're supposed to be. So find your passion, get the trade in it, and just slowly just keep living life to the fullest. And to the fullest is not always material things. And I think that's what the world is getting caught up in, this material stuff and how to be fancy. And that's all good and dandy if that's what you prefer. But there's so much more to life than just that. Helping each other. You know, they always say when you're helping someone, you're loving on someone, that gives you so much joy more than anything. So find joy and happiness in something like that and let your purpose lead you the way.
That's true. Someone being able to tell me, come back and tell me that I helped change their life or change the trajectory of where they were going, that's priceless. You couldn't pay me enough for that. Now, I do need my money, you know. I'm not saying money is not important because, of course, I do need money to do this type of work.
Right.
But
so you can help the masses.
Yeah, it's not the money that keeps me going. It's definitely the impact.
The impact for sure. Thank you for everything. Again, it's like it's still just scraping the surface. The rabbit hole goes so deep, you know, but I'm glad we came to do a part 2. Where can the people find you?
You can find me at the Annihilator on Facebook, on Instagram, also on the line with Nye. I do have a podcast coming out soon to help the felons, like I said, either reopen their cases or assist them with their cases while they're locked up. So onthelinewithnye.com is my website as well.
Perfect. You can find me at Coach Me Seclenda on all platforms. I'm mostly on Instagram and YouTube. And thank you for joining us again. Every Tuesday, it's live at 11. And we just appreciate for you guys joining in. Love. Bye.
Thank you. Once again, you got me.